I sense someone who did not like and subscribe. Hello there, everyone, and as Darth Vader mentioned, do the liking and subscribing. I am here today with another Dad Talks. I'm talking to TJTDaBreakfastBoy. That's TJTDaBreakfastBoy. Say hello, sir.
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
I am good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad you're here too. So here's the plan, everybody. I am going to do just a regular. We're going to look at his roster, talk about the game, and then TJT is going to review my roster and/or gag history. I'm not sure. We'll let him do what he wants to do because it's his ball. He'll run with it. So we'll have some fun with that here in a minute. So TJT, before we get started, tell me about your roster here. Some of your theories on Galaxy Heroes. What are you working on with your roster, and what's going on?
Sure, I'll try to be succinct with that. So I started about 2 years ago. Been working on it mostly free to play. I spent a little bit of money at the beginning to get caught up on Malevolence when they had a Galactic Chase back then. So, trying to do my best to roll with the game here and focus on GAC, but I help run the guild that I'm in, and so try and get my feet into everything that I can and make sure I'm doing my part. But working right now, just got Cat unlocked in Conquest. Like, I'm catching up on the old Conquest units that I wasn't level 85 for, but working right now on Sith Eternal at your advice the other day when you gave me a roster review. I was kind of flipping between Profundity or a GL and trying to figure out where to go next. So I just started looking at Sith Eternal requirements as I'm about halfway through, just by having some of the good characters, and I got to get the bad ones like Krennic. So I'm really excited about that. But working there and hoarding gear as I unlock Maul this Proving Grounds to be ready for the raid. And so I think the slow burn of the GL grind, but also hoarding up some gear to get as many of the teams for the Crate Dragon raid as I can ready to go day one and be able to play and test around with that with everyone else. So I'm excited about that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I could see you. I mean, you've got Malgus in here too. Was that a free to play accomplishment?
Yeah, so he was the first one I was able to do hard conquests for. I got 4 million. I blew it up to get 4 million right when his was in the second month of his conquest. So that was the last money I spent. I bought the pass the last 3 times to finish his shards so I can unlock him. That was the first conquest character other than Razor Crest and 5-star TIE Interceptor I was able to get. So that was kind of the start, and then from there I've hit conquest as hard as I can. No more battle, not getting the pass anymore, but usually by the 6th month I unlock the character now at this point with gold crates. So
yeah, that $10 pass, Darth Loquitur, swears by it. It's just the value of that. It basically turns your gold crate into a red crate every time. And
yeah,
that's
and because
a huge
I was in
deal.
normal. Yeah, I was in normal his first one, so I had to make it up somewhere.
Right, right.
But glad to get him done, and that was the motivation I need to finally unlock Darth Revan. So I got Malgus first, and I'm like, I need the rest of his team. Let me figure that out. So
yeah,
kind of went backwards.
You're gonna have him. You need the team. That's true, man. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, working on Sith Eternal. Yeah, you're really far along towards Sith Eternal. It's not gonna be that long for you to really get him done. So
yeah, and it's there's that balance now of I just did Star Killer. There's a lot of Kairos. I have Scythe at 330, and I was doing Inquisitors, but I just lost the steam on that, especially with the Sith ship coming out. And so I just put that on hold, and I hadn't given them any Kairos yet. And so I'm just loading those up, and I kind of the way I approach it is I do a Cairo intensive farm, and I do one of the old farms, like to unlock Sith Eternal that takes a lot of older characters to let Kairos build back up, and then do the next one, whether it be Afra or some new marquee, And so I try and balance it where I'm not just going all Cairo heavy, but since I started a few years late in the game, there's a lot of stuff I can go back to that's pretty easy, like Tuscans coming up, like some of those teams for the raid that shouldn't be too much of a problem now with the accelerated drops on the older gear, that I can at least get to a manageable level while I plan the next thing out. So
right. Hey, it all makes sense, buddy. So, hey, but before we get into you roasting my roster,
never.
What's your Star Wars story? How did you come into touch with Star Wars and develop feelings for it?
It's funny. I mean, I grew up with the prequel series coming out when I was coming around, so I watched those. I'd seen the originals, but I wouldn't say I was a huge Star Wars fan, but I was on paternity leave when my daughter was born 2 years ago, and I just would get a mobile game for a few days while I just had her sleeping on me all the time and play it. Picked one up, put it down, picked one up, put it down, and came across this one. Got some traction going and realized, hey, there's a lot more to Star Wars than I've ever really done. I don't know who these Night Sisters are, but that was the first team I built just because, like, oh, Talia's basic heals herself and it's going to heal her team. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I ended up watching the Clone Wars series, ended up watching Rebels, and, just started going through there. And I've gotten into Star Wars the last 2 years because of this game. So it was, again, backwards. I didn't seek out Star Wars mobile game. I found a mobile game I enjoyed and said, I know what Star Wars is, but I don't know who 90% of these characters are. Let me understand that better. And since then, I've caught up on almost every show except for the Bad Batch and Mandalorian new seasons I haven't done yet because young kids, it'll take me a year before I get to it probably.
Right.
But that's my story. Not a huge fan until a couple years ago, and now I like to be able to talk about it and at least know what's going on.
I mean, yeah,
because of this game.
Yeah, you backed into Star Wars through the game. That's incredible, man. That's not a typical story, but it's an awesome story. That's great. And you kids in your paternity leave, what's up with that? I never got any. Do I sound like an old man right now?
You shouldn't have been so old. That's what happened. I mean, I just moved to the East Coast. I was in California before, and so we had some pretty good paternity leave benefits. And fortunately, my company took really good care of me. So yeah. I took full advantage first couple of months with both my kids, and grateful for it.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Back when we were doing it, I had to take a week of vacation and just hang out.
Yeah,
it's a really good thing. The longer you can have one or both parents in the house with the kids, the better off everybody is.
I am so grateful for that time. I know not everyone gets it, so I won't hang that over anyone's head. But yeah. I'm glad I was able to do it.
That's good stuff. All right, well, do you have anything to add about the game or anything before we jump into you taking a look at my stuff?
I mean, I know you found some things in my roster before I look at yours that you had some questions on. So I have some interesting approaches to things. I definitely try to minimize what I do to a T. I know the one that sticks out that you were saying was my CLS team. My Chewpio is Gear 8. And I have Relic 5 on CLS, Han and Chewie, and Gear 11 on C-3PO. And I live by that team because I'm like, if I can keep Chewpio alive through CLS stat share, he's not getting another piece of gear until I absolutely need to. And so far, he takes out gas for me all the time. I'm saving 100 Carbantis on him. He's never going to get them, but eventually he will. So that's just how I approach things.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to minimize it, and it's a resource management game. So at the end of the day, if I can spare it and still get 90% utility,
yeah,
you better believe I'm going to do that. So.
And did you say that you had gotten through Tier 3 of the assault battles with this team too?
Yep.
Yeah, that was, so for me, I got through it when I had everybody at Relic 3 except for Chewpio was Gear 12. So that's a really good point out that, you can have CLS, Chewbacca, and Han Relic, and 3PO is at Gear 11, it looks like, and Chewpio is at Gear 8, and you got through Tier 3, the assault battle. That's great.
And it's simmable, yeah. So, I mean, it took me a few tries, but once I think CLS was my first R5, but once I got Han and Chewie to Gear 13 as well and took them to 5, and then CLS just to 6 because the stats for the team is why I put him up, I was able to do it the next time around, and very happy about that. And never have to do it again. So
yeah, that one's not so bad either. You could take a few tries on that one, and it takes you some time, but it's not like taking a few tries on the Jedi one where you're using First Order or Sith. Like, if you fail on that halfway through, that's 45 minutes of your day that's gone,
Yeah, I finally got that one through with Malgus, but Talon died in the last wave, so I have to do it again this month. So I'm like, oh, no.
Hey, man, I remember back in the days when we could not sim those. You were just playing them every single time, so...
okay, that was probably before my account was large enough to even know about that.
Yeah.
That probably happened recently, but before I was doing the challenge too, I'm sure, so...
All right, man. Yeah, well, let me pull up my roster here, and you can give me your thoughts and tell me what's going on. Okay.
Well, I have you pulled up on your GAC history, but I need to pull you up in game because it's probably a little easier. What are you working on right now? Just while I'm getting that going.
Yeah, I just finished Jedi Master Kenobi. I don't have his ultimate done yet, and I need one more Zeta on him, which is his basic.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm literally one Zeta mat away from his first one, which isn't really a big deal. If they were dark side inflict ability block for one turn, I mean, it's not a huge Zeta, but I'll have that here tomorrow, basically, or maybe tonight. Um,
Yeah.
Commander Ahsoka's next. I got her gear 12. I've only got 2 gear pieces left on her. Um,
Did you just unlock her last month?
I unlocked her like a couple weeks. So at the last proving grounds, I unlocked
We
her.
got her at the same time then. I
Yep.
just got her myself
Yeah,
and just
it
got her
was
to do a 13 too.
very fortuitous. It was like I knew my Jedi Master Kenobi and Commander Ahsoka were going to converge, and it was like within a
Perfect.
couple weeks of each other, boom, I got them there, and I really timed it out right as well. So I got her at Gear 12. I have her at Gear 13 here shortly, but even at Gear 12, and even without Jedi Master Kenobi's Ultimate, that team in Conquest for me is making a tremendous
Oh, I
difference.
bet.
And
Yeah, that's huge.
it's gonna be good for me in Grand Arena the way it is right now, but it won't be fully ready until I get that ultimate on. And once I get JMK's ultimate and I've got Commander Ahsoka like at Relic 5 at least, I'll be able to start
Yeah.
looking at maybe putting a lot stingier defense down sometimes. Or I've really
Yeah.
I've let my defense go for a long time now because it just wasn't worth putting a big defense down when my opponents
Yeah.
had 3 or 4 or 5 GLs and I had one. You know?
You have to. I mean, that's the dilemma I always face as well. With only one GL myself, it's they're gonna roll me. I mean, you know, we're facing people. You're in Erodium too. That's where I was. I just made the Kyber bump again. But both times I've made it now, it's right. It's in 5v5 going to 3v3 where the GL disadvantage hurts you even more. So I haven't
Yep.
been able to hold it. But I always have that dilemma of do I just play ships defense? I mean, it's probably in a lot of cases the most likely outcome to win. But what I had fun with this last 5v5 before I start looking at your stuff, now that I got you pulled up, is I tried to spread 9. I mean, we have 9 5v5 teams in Erodium, 9 good teams. And what this last round, I actually went 3-0 against all 4 GL opponents. And they never, all 3 rounds, they didn't clear a single zone. They tried on both my fronts and used their 3 GLs on offense and then couldn't get through the other teams. And it just, that's not going to work every time, but a lot of the cases, there's a reason why they're at the same level as me. And they might not be able to counter 9 good teams versus like just putting my 1 GL down and hoping they fail against it. And so that was really fun to do. Again, your account, JMK is going to be a great defense team, but that's what I've had fun is how do I spread with half the relics they have, how do I spread these out to make teams that will trip them up? And I run a or a Palpatine Mara Jade Starkiller R5 with a Gear 10 3-star Cal Kestis and a Gear 10 Old Ben, and that got so many holds.
Nice.
Just people didn't know how to do it. And it's like, again, it's not going to work in Kyber. It's not going to work all the time. But it's fun to just, how do I trade 3 relics for 5? How do I, on offense, how do I, with Wampa, take out 5 relics with my 1? And that's all the trading game is. How do I get my relics even when I'm coming in with 50 less than them? And that's the fun I have in the strategizing and defense planning. But so pulling up your stuff here, you have stuff I would want to have, like JMK. That'd be cool. I know you point out my 5-star Watts holding me back, and I know that, but it is what it is, and I'll get there eventually. So, ships wise, is Profundity on your radar at all? Just to double down on that ship's defense, or is that not a close farm for you?
Yeah, kind of where I am right now is I've got all the characters except for Radis farmed for Profundity. I'm not really deep into it. What I'm really going to focus on is once I get Jedi Master Kenobi, this team done here, I've got some other teams that I want to get bigger relics on. So like I've got CLS at Relic 3, my Revens are Relic 3. I got a bunch of guys at Relic 3 that I need to get to 5 or even 7 in some cases. So I'm going to take some time and focus on that, get those relic levels up. And then I need to also get my 501st. They've been sitting at Gear 12, the 3 clones for a long time. I need to get them done, and maybe even relic General Veers and Stark and my whole trooper team. But I've got Crate Dragon coming too, so we'll see. There's some stuff I got to work on after I finish Kenobi, but in the meantime, what I'm really going to start farming for after we figure out Crate Dragon raid is I want to do my next 3 farms. I want it to be Jabba and Luke and Profundity in some order, so Jedi Knight Luke basically is going to be at the crux of all that.
Sure.
And I've got all the stuff done. I've got Rolo is at 7 stars right now. I've got Hoda at 7 stars. So I got the characters I need for them. I just need to get their gear and relics on. But that's what's coming down the road for me.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean that Crate Dragon is such a huge wait and see, right? We know the teams, but what's going to work? Where do I throw my gear? Obviously, we just both unlocked Cat. Are you close on Maul as well?
I'm at 243 on my. I actually just pulled my Mandalorians up right when you said that. I'm at 243 on Maul.
I can see your screen.
Yeah, I'm actually closer to Malgus. I'm at 275 on Malgus.
Okay.
So he's going to hit Proving Grounds at the end of this conquest that we got going on. And I figure a couple rounds of conquest, and I think I'll be able to get him with some get 3 currency. I don't know that he's in this conquest again. Is he in this conquest? Because I haven't gotten to that
in it on the nodes. I'm in Sector 2 nodes. Let me check what's up right now.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't gotten to that Sector 2 scavenger node yet, so I didn't know if he was in there or not.
Well, let me take a look for you real quick. Looking in your future, you will see Admiral Trench, Scythe, Old Ben, and Interceptor. So no, unfortunately not. He is no longer, which I think that's the natural progression. Right. He might show up in the normal store though. The shipments, I feel like that's when they start hitting in the conquest shipments.
Yeah, I kind of thought
for characters there, but
yeah, I kind of thought he'd be gone from that. So I need 55 more shards here. If I can get some of them from Get 3, hopefully, if they start putting them in there, and then a couple rounds of Proving Grounds. At worst case, it's 3 months of Proving Grounds, assuming I can get it done. I don't, who knows how hard they make it.
Right, I can't beat the Interceptor fight with just SLKR. I did it the first time after like 100 tries, and I have not gotten it any other time. Like, oh, I'm 1 away from 6-star.
Yeah.
Finally going to get this improved, but it is what it is. So, well, that makes a lot of sense. You have Malgus and Maul coming, which is exciting. I think, Malgus is so good. I mean, he's my JML counter. Being an SLKR owner, I struggle with that heavily. So he's saved me all the time going on offense to take out JMLs when people try and stonewall me there. So he's great. But then you also have Maul, and it's that trade-off of he's a great team too, but also you get that raid bonus, right? And so, I think that's where so much of the leaning is, especially with how the rewards are being advertised to us, is everyone is going to help your whole guild, but it's also going to help yourself. You just go all in on these teams, and maybe it gives you a small disadvantage in JC versus going for Malgus first or something, but it might pay for itself in 3 months, right? And so that's the exciting. I'm excited about this, to finally, when a new game mode comes out, to be at a level where I can engage it versus all the stuff in the past I've been playing catch up. So I hope you can get them both very quickly and get them rolling, because they'll be fun. I'll have them all next month, like I was talking about, just in time, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice.
But look, I've never reviewed a roster. I mean, I see, this is the thing, is I help people in my guild with their rosters all the time. All the people who want to ask about stuff, and so I have my go-tos. But your account's at the same level as mine, so it's hard to give a whole lot of new insights. It's not like I'm helping someone catch up who's 3 million below me, saying, get your Grievous team. You'll want Malevolence. You already have all that, right? So
what were you looking at you were looking at my GAC history. What were your thoughts there? Was it just the fact that I'm just not throwing any defense out there? Maybe I should rethink that?
I don't know if I'm saying you should rethink. I was just curious what you did, because I've watched your attacks on stream, but haven't been around long enough to see, what's his normal defense strategy. I mean, don't change what's working for you. Like I said, I have that dilemma and that decision to make every time. But as your roster grows deeper, I think I enjoy it more to be able to try and get holds, although I know the wise choice might be just save it all for offense. But if you scout your opponent and think, hey, I can beat these teams with my 9 and then afford to still throw 9 really good ones on defense, like, let me give it a shot. And that's where I've gotten more joy in the theory crafting versus just knowing the counters on offense. But really, how do I trip people up on defense? Do I hide Malgus on the back? Do I put them on the front, make them think SLKR is on the back? Do I put all my B+ teams on the front wall and then nothing on the back, and they save their GLs for nothing? It just, this chess match I do with myself, talking to myself as I prepare my defense. It's, people probably think I'm crazy in my household, but it's a lot of fun, and that's where I find joy in JC more than even the attacking.
Yeah.
Although the attacking is fun because, hey, I got to do this Hail Mary fight to take out 3 GLs on the front wall, and my SLKs are on defense. What am I going to do? But I think the planning is more the fun part for me when it comes to, how do I set defense? How do I build my roster to maximize what I have? And so if you ever are getting stale with the game mode, I would encourage you to try that, but don't switch up what you're doing. That's giving you success, and if the streaming that's enjoyable still, like you have an audience watching, so the best thing you could do is give a good performance with your attacks. They can't watch your defense, so you're in a different position than myself.
Yeah, that's part of the consideration for sure. Is that when everybody started doing it was like if I put a stiff defense out there, I might only be able to fight like 3 or 4 battles on offense, and it sounds a little bit cheesy, but then does anybody really enjoy the stream at that point? So
and that's where it's hard.
Yeah,
right? You know what you're doing, and so I think to the extent that you can maximize the engagement on your screenplay with the streams, like that's even more incentive to do it the way you're doing it. Again, I think that's going to get you the most wins too. But if you just ever hit a rut where you feel like I just want to change it up, like that's how I found fun. But there are some rounds where I do nothing, and it's just like, well, they have 6 GLs, and 4 of them on offense. I'm going to just throw Executor down and hope they can't beat it because they're bad at ships, right? So.
And for me, I used to research every single Grand Arena on SWGOH.gg, look at my opponent, figure out what they did, what's the best defense and everything, and I would mix it up. And honestly, I just don't want to invest that kind of time right now.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's fun. I do it sometimes, but doing it every time, it just becomes kind of a chore. And generally, I can look at somebody's roster. Like if I'm sitting at a Rhodium at 5 million with 1 Galactic Legend, and you're in a Rhodium at 8 million with 4 Galactic Legends, I got a pretty good idea that I probably have better mods than you. There's probably a 20 to 50% chance you won't show up at all. So I can base my attack based on that too. But once I get Jetmaster Kenobi up, there are rosters that I'm going to look at, and I'm going to say, well, these guys aren't going to beat my JMK. It doesn't matter what he throws at it. If Commander Ahsoka's in that JMK lineup and you've got a big, beefy General Kenobi in there, they really have to have the right teams or they're not going to be able to beat it,
Exactly. I mean, you're adding the second Executor, and that's where I think the scouting comes into play more for you. Is when you have those teams that can be used offense, defense, and you need to know where, like Imp Troopers, you're going to take them on offense every time. Mine are like purple gear except Piet because he has to be. And let me go find their bounty hunters. They only have 250 speed, but all relic. Hey, okay, that's a fun trade, right? That's an offense team. But when you get a Malgus that you can maybe mix and match, do I take out a GL on offense or do I put him on defense? When you get Kenobi, do I need him to take out one of these GLs that SOKR doesn't do, or is he going to hold on defense? Once you have those 3 or 4 swing teams, I think that's where the research benefits you more, and you're getting there, right? I mean, you have that in a different way than I have that because you have the JMK. I have the Malgus and the Gas, and that's like my swing. It's SOKR, Malgus, Gas. Who's going where? How am I doing those 3? And then I fill in around that. But that's the beauty of a Wampa and a Troopers. You don't have to think about it. They're going to go destroy everything in their path because I'm going to use them in the right situation, right? And so, I mean, even CLS to a point is that could really trip people up on defense. But he's so good on offense as well. He swings for me a lot. But I'm curious with what you're doing since you started streaming. Have you found the Grand Arena to be more enjoyable than it was on your own, or do you feel like that's become like, this is my job now, I've got to do it? You still find joy in the Grand Arena process, or has it kind of hit a point where you'd rather be pumping out other content, but that's just like the main game mode that people focus on? You feel like you have to focus there?
No, I love every minute of it. I love coming on and playing Grand Arena, hanging out with people, doing stupid stuff and failing. I mean, doing great stuff. Surprising myself with something that works that I didn't. And just playing in general. There is not. I love it. There is very little in my life I look forward to as much as coming down and streaming Grand Arena. It is a blast, and roster views are a blast. They're different. They're different animals, but Grand Arena is one of the most fun things I do in my life.
I'm glad that's holding true for you. I someone who doesn't stream, I'd hate for you to have taken something you love and then like gotten successful at it, and that's a beautiful thing, but then it's sapping the joy. But the hangout process, like that's what I love about this game. That's what's kept me going is, that's why I'm in the guild I'm in, that I joined before level 85 at 2 million GP, and I've helped it grow to 235, and we're doing stuff Like, it's the relationships, and I don't have a YouTube following, but I stream live in my Discord with a few people, and we just voice chat while we do our rounds when we can, and it's so much fun. So I'm glad to hear that in your experience, that's added more joy to your game as well, because you're gonna hang out. Like, that's always the downside of this game, is like, no one's gonna know what I'm doing unless I'm bragging about my accomplishments. It's like, oh, we can actually stream and just watch each other and hang out while we're doing it. That's fun. That's what a concept. If only there was like playback of every single battle so you can see what happened on defense. That would be beautiful. But unfortunately, that's not there. So I appreciate people like you who put it out for the masses, and I know a lot of other people put it out on YouTube, and it's for people like me who can just share it with a few people. It's fun to see everyone interacting and engaging in the game at different levels, and I think that's what drew me to your channel, was the fact that we're in a similar GP range and a similar, ranking, where all the other people I watch are great and they're entertaining, but they're like 11 million GP. And it's like, okay, well, I can pull little snippets here and there, but I can't feel like I'm in the same game as them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I started when I did, to be in line with what you're doing. It's cool to see similar progression happen, and we use a lot of the same teams. It's like, hey, I do that.
Hey man, that's great feedback, and I think that's the allure for a lot of people. It's Otto obviously does a great job, and he's I would say he has surpassed the game in a lot of ways.
It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically like a TV show, and does awesome stuff. But yeah, it's hard to relate to that if you're not sitting there in the top 3 rungs of Kyber, maybe even Kyber 2, where you're like, I don't have half of these teams he's using. And it's cool to watch, and he's super entertaining, and he knows everything that's going on. But let's go see what somebody's doing that's at my level that I can maybe relate to a little more. So glad I can fill that hole.
I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, my first team before I knew what I was doing or anything else Star Wars was Night Sisters. I'm like, none of these people even use them. Marin's back, so like maybe that's gonna change. But like, what do you mean you don't use Night Sisters in your top 35 teams? That's my favorite team.
Yeah. Hey man, give me your ally code again, and I'm going to ask you for one final comment for us. What's your ally code again?
Sure, let me pull that up. It is... Oh, I just had it here. Sorry.
Don't you have it memorized, man? Come on.
I see. You put me on the spot.
I don't,
but now I don't. Okay, I'm going to try from memory. 493-728-228.
Okay.
Let me know if that's me, or I just told you a random person.
So what's a final word you'd give to folks who've been watching and playing the game, and what do you take away from the game that you could give to people?
What do I take away from the game? It's about the people you play with. At the end of the day, any of us at any point could probably join a guild that's bigger, that's doing more, that's that. Find a place you feel great to play as someone who leads a guild with people who are anywhere from as extreme roster building efficiency as me to people who are completely casual. Like, we enjoy playing together, and that works for us. Find that, learn from each other, do your best to be efficient. Don't get your UX past gear 10 because you don't need to. Just get C307 stars and put them in the trash, and you're good to go. But I think just that's what gets me going, is the efficiency and roster building. And for other people that's not, I can still enjoy playing with them, and I encourage people to do the same as they focus on GAC, focus on territory battles, whatever it is for you. Focus on just getting the characters you like. Just have fun and play with each other, and that's the fun of this game. So
there you go.
Keep watching Star Wars Dad YouTube videos.
I couldn't agree with all of that more, especially watching Star Wars Dad on YouTube. Anyway, hey man, TJT, thanks for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for popping my roster up and having a good discussion there about Grand Arena as well. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, and best of luck moving forward.
All right. Hey, everybody out there.
In advance.
Yeah. Hey, everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. As you go through your day and you spend time with your family, of course, always remember, Nooch too good.